Hi, this is Parisienne Farmgirl. I'm Angela and welcome to my channel. It may not look like it, but spring is trying to make its way into Door County, this beautiful vacation destination. With everything that's happening, I'm finding myself more and more grateful for the anticipation of my garden and knowing what future enjoyment my garden is going to bring me. I am hoping that everyone is healthy and well this summer and they can make their annual pilgrimages to this beautiful location. The ice is thin this year. We had a mild winter, and I know that spring is about to come, though I am prepared for a few more snowfalls. But I've been spending some beautiful time in my greenhouse, getting some annuals and perennials started. I have plans for the vegetable garden for the potager. We're going to be putting in some raised beds. So let's take a trip back to Sur Le Rocher and I will share with you what I have going on in my garden this week. I have mini roses on cattle panels out in the potager. So their cattle panels are arched and the roses are going to eventually cover the arch, and it's going to be beautiful, and I have many more coming early this spring. But when I'm getting a new garden established, I love to fill in the space with annual vines. And my favorite, because I am a sucker for blue flowers, is the Heavenly Blue Morning Glory. And this year I found this variety. It's a dwarf variety, so the flower is going to be a little bit smaller, and there's a hint of yellow and white in the center, which I think will be beautiful. And I'm going to just pop these in the middle, away from the rose, so it doesn't crowd the rose that's trying to get established, but it'll help take that greenery and the color up into the garden, because that's what I'm wanting to do. This space used to be a forest. We took out all the trees, and now I'm working on bringing greenery back up into that space. So when you're starting your morning glory seeds, the best thing that you can do is nick them and soak them in water overnight. I have my seed tray here. I'm gonna get these started. It might be a little bit early, but I really wanna put in some nice big established plants. So I'm going to get these started, and then I will repot them as they grow, because they will definitely outgrow these little plugs. But we'll get them going, and then I'll harden them off later this spring and pop them into the ground with a nice good size, because our growing season, it's really not that long. It's a shorter growing season. But these are one of my favorites. And then it's a very easy seed to collect in the fall. So if you do plant some, last year I planted the wrong color. I meant to have more blue and I ended up with purple. But if you get the right color, you can definitely save your seeds till next year. And it's a flower you'll basically just have to buy one time and you can save your seeds. So let's get these planted. The typical, your average size Heavenly Blue is going to go 1/4 inch deep into the ground. So mine have been soaking overnight. They are ready. This just aids in the germination. So let's see, I'm going to grab a little watercolor brush and we'll make a little 1/4 inch indentation and get these planted. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 in each hole, and then that'll just help me. I'm not quite sure what the germination rate on this particular brand of seed is. I'm using Livingston, and I'll just snip back the least hardy of the 2. But you can see these I just started last night. I nicked them and then just popped them in water overnight, and they're already starting to go. So I'm doing half the tray in the Heavenly Blue and half the tray in this little dwarf variety. My cat's going crazy back there. When you're planting your seeds, you don't really need to overthink it, but a general rule is that you want to plant them the depth that's 2 times the diameter of the seed. So those Heavenly Blues, those were a good sized seed, so I planted them 1/4 inch deep. These are a little bit smaller, so I'm planting them 1/8 of an inch deep, and I'm just going to lightly cover them. Don't overthink your seed starting. You can't really ruin it. Don't be too worried if you're just a novice, but I'm gonna get these popped into the ground, and we'll move on to some other flowers. I've got some delphinium I need to plant, and some stock, some digitalis, And again, I'm just popping 2 seeds into each little hole, just because I'm not quite sure how these are going to germinate. And it's no big deal once yours start to sprout. You can just trim off the lesser of the 2. Whichever one looks the strongest to you, keep that one and just clip down the second. My plans for the garden and the potager this year are big. I have many dreams that I'm looking forward to seeing come to fruition. I have some lemon trees that are going to be arriving soon, some espaliered apple trees, and we're going to walk out to the back of the potager against the forest and remove some of the larger hardwoods that are growing back there. So we have a beautiful portion of pine trees, and then off to one side is a really thick patch of hardwood trees, and they create a sort of microclimate in the back of the garden. They make too much shade. The raspberries are not doing well back there. The pumpkins didn't do well last year. And what we're going to do is thin them and use those tree trunks to create some raised beds. And we're going to build them sort of like a log cabin. So we'll be notching them out and using our resources from here on the property to make new raised beds for the potager, because we've really struggled the last 2 years here with the wild oregano. We don't have that much grass, if you can believe it. We have a lot of wild thyme and tons of oregano. It's very invasive and it creeps up into any vegetable bed that we make. We really can't get rid of it no matter how much we till and remove. So I'm looking forward to using what we have already to create these raised beds and create a little bit more order and structure in the back of the garden. In the cottage garden, I'm going to be bringing in more cypress and more trees, maybe some red buds, just to create height in that area. This was a forest, so we basically took it all down, and now I really want to bring things up. That's why I'm looking forward to the cattle panels and the roses and some annuals I'm going to share with you in a few minutes. But that's basically the initial plan. We're going to have to hit the ground running once the snow melts. That's kind of how it goes here. We have that last blizzard, and then we just plant and start designing. So I'm excited. I know there's a lot of work. This is year 3 of our garden, and I know it takes a good decade to build an established garden. So we definitely have our work cut out for us. An integral flower in the cottage garden is digitalis, the foxglove. So I saved my seeds last year, and I just keep them in a little lunch bag, and it's really easy. Just put the stalks in there, and then you can shake those seeds down and they come right out. This is a very, very tiny seed, So along with that planting rule of, 2 times the diameter of the seed, when your seed is really, really small, like basil or digitalis or snapdragon, you're just gonna sprinkle it right on top of the soil because it does need light to germinate. So I have thousands of these little seeds. This is a toxic plant, so you wanna keep it away from your animals and from your children. All parts of the plant are toxic. And I'm just going to sprinkle that right on top of the soil. The soil has been pre-moistened, so I added the water before we got started. And then I will thin those out as they become established, and I'll repot them as they grow. I'm going to grow them in the greenhouse and a little bit outside all year long, and then I'll plant them out this fall. That is a cheap and easy way to add hundreds of perennials to your garden. Just save your seeds from last year. This is one of my favorite plants. This one is a beautiful variety. It's creamy white, it has a purple center. I think it's going to be lovely. So I'm going to go from 3 to hopefully about 30 and just really boost up that perennial aspect of the garden. So let's pop these under the grow lights and move on to delphinium. Another favorite blue flower in the garden is the delphinium. Now, like the climbing annual of Morning Glory, it is blue, the one that I grow, and I just loved it last year. It was so incredible next to the roses and next to the bee balm, so I did save my seed, and this is my first year starting delphinium from my own seed. In the past, I have started delphinium from seed that I purchased, so I'm very excited about this. So I'm just going to pre-moisten my seed starting mix in my tray here. And what I'm doing, what I've done actually, is a stratification method. So what I've done is stimulate the natural conditions of this seed. So I've cooled it off in my cooler for a week. So there's some species that have an embryonic dormancy phase, and you can kind of stimulate that by putting it in the cooler for 36 hours or 7 days, whatever that seed requires. So before we went to Disney, I popped this in delphinium for fridge until 3/14, and I'm going to get these seeds started. Now, you can start this 8 to 10 weeks before your last frost. I'm going to do that, but I'm probably not going to put them right in the ground. I'm probably going to nurture them in this greenhouse environment and get them nice and big and hardy until fall, and then I'll put them in the ground. But the blue delphinium is so beautiful. It's on such a tender spike, and that pop of cobalt blue is so incredible early in the morning and late in the evening. It adds such a nice touch to arrangements. So I am very pleased to be adding so many of these to the garden. And again, this is a really economical way of introducing so many perennials into your garden by just taking a little time starting the seeds in the spring and either putting them in late spring, early summer, or waiting till fall and putting them in the ground. And then next year, gardening is always about next year. Next year you can enjoy that color. Oh, you're doing such a great job. That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Can you fill it back in for me?
Oh, sure.
Like this? Okay, then watch. Can you give me your finger? Like, no, wait, no, leave this right here. That's my divider. Give me this finger like this. Can you go like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you go? There you go. Thank you. Okay, here. Can you take one?
Okay.
Can you put it in that little hole right there? Scooch him in. Oh, almost. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Give me some.
Well, here.
No, I need two.
Okay, give me your hand.
Okay.
There you go. Try that.
Here you go. Here you seeds go.
Are you helping me?
Yeah. That you seeds go right there.
Thank you. Okay. So, of course, that this year, it's not always about planting flowers. It's about planting vegetables as well. Thank you, buddy. And I have started broccoli, and I have it going on the heat mat behind me because broccoli likes a little bit warmer soil, similar to your tomatoes and your peppers. And one of my favorite salads is endive with blue cheese and walnut and a light lemon vinaigrette. So endive is difficult to find in this area, so I'm going to be growing my own with the help of a 3-year-old right now. So I've got my seed tray, and I'm just planting these seeds, 3 to 4 weeks before they can be planted out. So this is one of those early crops that you can get started on right now. And I'm pretty excited because this is my favorite lettuce for my favorite salad, and I've never done this before, so I'm looking forward to blanching them and having those nice, compact, tight lettuces to enjoy this spring.
Look, those holes!
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me in my garden preparation for this year. Of course, you can follow me on Instagram. That's where you and I can hang out every day. And quicker than you can plant a seed, you can hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, hit the bell so you get a notification every time we bring you a new video. This is going to be a wonderful gardening season, even if it feels like it's never going to happen. It will, and you and I will be together for the whole thing. A bientôt.